This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the Deadpool 3 trailer, Deadpool and Wolverine. Guys, I am so excited to break down this trailer for you and make a huge announcement. On our merch store, ScreenCrushMerch.com, we just launched this Can You Tell Me How to Get to the MCU parody shirt featuring Deadpool and Wolverine as Bert and Ernie. We really love this shirt. We design all the shirts on ScreenCrushMerch.com ourselves. We're really proud of them. It's the best way for you to directly support our channel. Also, if you're interested, we have our very first live show in Brooklyn, New York on February 22nd in just a few days. Tickets are almost sold out, so if you want yours, get it right now. Now, before we get into breaking down this trailer, I want to kind of fill you in on where the Deadpool franchise is at this point. So it's actually been 8 years since the first Deadpool movie was released. So I thought some of you guys might want a little refresher. Now, Reynolds, of course, first played the character 15 years ago in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, Ryan Reynolds starts off that movie as a very comic-accurate Deadpool because, you know, Deadpool's such a smartass.
Granted, it's probably not as intimidating as having a gun or bone claws or the fingernails of a bag lady.
But then, by the end of the movie, they literally erased Deadpool's greatest attribute, his mouth.
Stryker finally figured out how to shut you up.
But the character finally got the treatment he deserved with 2016's Deadpool. Now that movie helped to evolve the superhero genre by bringing it into the realm of self-aware parody with gags like this.
McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are so confusing.
Now in that film, we see that Wade Wilson is an assassin who meets the love of his life, but then he gets a terminal cancer diagnosis. To beat the disease, he signs up for a treatment that unlocks his mutant gene, so he becomes basically immortal, but his face looks like this.
You look like an avocado. Had sex with an older, more disgusting avocado.
Yeah.
So now he believes that his true love, Vanessa, can never love him, so he goes to take revenge on the guy who disfigured him. He's helped by the X-Men that they could afford with the budget, Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and in Deadpool 2, Yukio.
And hi, Yukio! That was really nice of you to say hi, so I'm saying hi back. You guys make a super cute couple.
So they defeat Ajax, and of course Vanessa loves him for who he really is. And then in Deadpool 2, Vanessa dies like right away.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so in his grief, Wade attempts to be a member of the X-Men, but that doesn't go exactly as planned.
My name is Deadpool, and I'm an X-Man.
Trainee!
Shut it!
And then he kills this guy public execution style for abusing a young mutant named Russell.
Fire Fist!
Fire Fist. Ooh, that's a great name. Where does it burn? Just the fist or all the way up to the elbow?
Wade and Russell get sent to a mutant prison, and there we see a time-traveling mutant named Cable come from the future to kill Russell because, in the future, Russell kills Cable's family. Deadpool convinces Cable to let him try to change the future and save Russell from becoming a villain, and he succeeds. And at the end of the movie, Wade steals Cable's time-traveling device and uses it to resurrect Vanessa, and he also undoes some other misfortunes, such as preventing Ryan Reynolds from doing Green Lantern and killing his version of Deadpool in Origins Wolverine.
Hey, it's me!
And this, by the way, was so fitting for the Deadpool franchise, which has always been about correcting studios' mistakes. They corrected the terrible adaptation of Deadpool from X-Men Origins. They corrected the Juggernaut from this
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
to this.
I'm gonna rip you in half now.
That is such a juggernaut thing to say.
And now, 6 years after Disney bought Fox and regained the rights to the X-Men films, Deadpool has a chance to course correct the MCU's mistakes of phases 4 and 5. And guys, Deadpool 3 is actually going to be one of the most important movies that the MCU has ever released.
Oh, why is that?
Well, it's the first movie to use the Fox X-Men characters that brings the X-Men properly into the MCU, and it's the only movie being released in a year when MCU enthusiasm is frankly at an all-time low. And I do wonder how well this is all going to work. I mean, Deadpool is a self-referential parody, and the MCU is an interconnected cinematic universe with very clear, defined rules. This would be like if Robin Hood Men in Tights took place in the same universe as Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, or if Galaxy Quest took place in the same universe as Star Trek.
Well, if I ever saw any of those movies, I would know what you're talking about.
Dude, you've never seen Galaxy Quest?
Nope.
Oh, it's so amazing. I mean, it's like the perfect movie. How have you never seen that?
Well, I got like 1 million streaming subscriptions, and now let me look. Nope, none of them have any of those movies.
Yes, they do. You just need NordVPN, our sponsor for this video. Like, if you want to watch any of those movies I just mentioned, guess what? None of them are on USA Netflix, but they are all on in other countries. So you can use NordVPN to change your IP address to Canada, and boom, now you can watch Galaxy Quest. You see, because of NordVPN, I was able to cancel almost every streaming service that I subscribe to. No more doing a trial for a new service or just renting the movie. You're already paying for the movie, you just didn't know it. I've been using NordVPN NordVPN for 3 years now, and it's unbelievable how much time and money this app has saved me. For one, it's an incredible ad blocker and the only ad blocker I use. They also offer a thing called threat protection, which protects you from malicious sites, downloads, trackers, and intrusive ads. Like, if you click on a suspicious attachment in your email, then threat protection deletes that download before it finishes, protecting your desktop from getting infected. And also, hey, it's NordVPN's birthday, so for a limited time, you can celebrate with an exclusive birthday offer by saving big on a 2-year NordVPN plan, plus get 4 bonus months. If you go to nordvpn.com/ScreenCrush or click our link in the description, you get a huge discount on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months for free, and you can take advantage of their 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, the best way for you to get this deal is to click our link below. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much. Now, back to the Easter eggs. Now, the first image we see is a selfie on Wade's birthday cake. Now, remember, Deadpool 2 ended with Wade basically having a found family. Also, the movie, he and Vanessa were talking about starting a family, and then when she died, he had to find a new family, which consisted of the time of like Domino, Rusty, Cable, Yukio, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Colossus. This was basically teasing an X-Force movie that we never got because Disney bought Fox, which meant that all of the plans for the Deadpool franchise and the X-Men franchise were put on hold in order to incorporate the mutants into the MCU. So what we're seeing here at the start of this is like an adapted form of this. They didn't like pay for Zazie Beetz to be in the movie as Domino just for a cameo, even though Josh Brolin was signed on for 3 more movies as Deadpool to be an X-Force and maybe a solo film. He's apparently not going to be in this, but I really hope he comes back because my God, he was perfect in that role. So in this selfie, we see Blind Al, which was Wade's roommate, and this guy with the beard is Buck. And if you remember, Buck had a really funny gag in Deadpool 2 where he was given speaking lines and he was terrible at them.
No more speaking lines for you.
And then, of course, we see Dopender, Yukio, hi Yukio, and Peter. Now, you also remember that Peter met a grisly death in Deadpool 2 that we can't show you or else we'd get demonetized. But that movie ended with Wade appropriating Cable's time travel device to go back and fix a lot of mistakes. He saved Peter's life, and apparently he also saved Shatterstar's life because we see Shatterstar at the birthday party. Now, we've theorized for a while that him mucking around with the timeline would, as the leaks confirmed here, gain the attention of the TVA, who would then either try to arrest him like they did Loki in Loki Season 1. Don't worry if you haven't seen the show, I'll explain that in just a second. Or, like it looks like in this trailer, they actually recruit him to help with the TVA, which is very cool. Also in the selfie, we do see Colossus, Vanessa, the aforementioned Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Shatterstar. Now, the fact that this starts at a birthday is telling me something. So birthdays, you know, when you're a kid, they're really super fun, but as you get older, they have more weight to them, you know? Like, a birthday means that you're one day closer to dying. Now, Wade cannot die. Wade will live on forever. However, these people around him will not live forever. Like, at a certain point, it's going to be very apparent to him that, like, he's going to have to someday say goodbye to Vanessa because, you know, she's going to get older and he's going to stay the same age. Now, I wonder if this is going to weigh on him because in this movie, you have to think, like, if all these timelines and universes are going to be ending, well, then Wade's main priority isn't going to be running off to join the MCU. He is going to want to save Vanessa. We forget this, but, like, in Deadpool 2, that movie was dark. Like, the reason why the humor in these Deadpool movies works so well is because it has so much pathos. Every time Wade would go in the spirit realm and see Vanessa, it still gets to me today, you know? So in this movie, I think his #1 priority is going to be, you know, joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also making sure that his timeline does not get pruned. So I think in a way what we might be seeing here is, you know, Deadpool's midlife crisis. He's even wearing a wig, which makes him look like the NFL coach Jimmy Johnson. Am I wrong? Now, like I said before, Shatterstar, who was a member of X-Force in the comics, did die in Deadpool 2, but apparently when Wade was going back in time and saving people's lives, he also saved Shatterstar's life. Now we see that Wade is wearing a Hawaiian shirt like he would sometimes wear in the comics, but he's most famous for wearing a Deadpool 2 when he wore this shirt, which was actually the same shirt that Chunk wore in The Goonies, a movie that starred Josh Brolin, which is like a fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. They ask Wade to give a speech, and he does, but it all of a sudden gets very meaningful and somber. And again, this is the balance of these movies. They hit you with parody, with fourth wall breaking, but then Deadpool always takes himself very seriously. And this is actually very much a trademark of the Deadpool franchise. We think of it as very silly, but it's actually balanced out by this pathos and sadness. See, the thing is that Wade has had a really rough life. Like, he and Vanessa trade stories about their rough lives in Deadpool 1, but he deals with that trauma with humor, and it's actually what draws him and Vanessa together. Now, seeing that he went back and saved all these people makes me wonder, did he let the Vanisher stay dead, or did the Vanisher have such a high asking price he can't be in this movie?
Wait, here's the Vanisher.
You remember he was played by Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
Sure was. High five. So this is us seeing Wade basically at his happiness. Of course, it's not going to last. Now, this is interesting. Deadpool makes a wish, and as soon as he makes a wish, there's a knock at the door. So this makes me wonder if he just wished that he could join the MCU. Because remember, there was like an online video where he and Korg were talking to each other, and Deadpool said,
Any tips on getting into the MCU there, Korg?
now, if you want to look at this as a fourth wall break thing, Deadpool is a guy who apparently knows he's in a movie, right? He can break the fourth wall because he understands that he is in a film franchise. So if he understands that, maybe he would also understand that, well, he's not going to exist for that much longer because his universe has been bought out by Disney. So if he's wishing something here, he could be wishing for the chance to continue to exist or otherwise to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then we get the TVA knocking at the door. So in case you guys haven't seen Loki, I'm going to give you a really quick TLDR on the Time Variance Authority and who they are. Basically, God, this is complicated. I'm going to try to sum this up really quick. Basically, a long time ago, there was a multiversal war between Kang variants. They all fought each other. One Kang variant won, and he basically set up a time policing agency to prune timelines just in case, like, to make sure no variant of him would ever exist. However, this agency basically limited free will, and then there was a variant of Loki who He Who Remains wanted to take his place throughout the course of seasons 1 and 2. Spoilers ahead, Loki did end up taking his place at the center of time and space. Now he doesn't control all of time, he just oversees it. And that show ended with the TVA basically becoming time cops for He Who Remains. And when the TVA pruned objects, they sent them to the void at the end of time, where they were eaten by a big ghost dog named Elias, who I'll talk about in just a little bit. There is something else here where this can't stay completely stable, because we know that the MCU is leading up to Avengers Secret Wars. In the comic books, Avengers Secret Wars, at least the second one, was about different universes colliding in events called incursions. You remember what an incursion is? Reed Richards will explain it for us right now.
An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes and they collide.
So, what it looks like they're doing, right? The post-credit scene of the Marvels, again, spoiler alert, showed an X-Men universe with Kelsey Grammer Beast that looks very much like the universe we saw in the films. The same universe that Deadpool comes from, or at least very similar. So this makes me think that, like, Avengers 5, which used to be called Avengers the Kang Dynasty, now might be Avengers versus X-Men. So I think the TVA is seeing all these incursions happen, but they can't do anything about them. And it's basically going to set up the X-Men universe to fight the Avengers universe in a movie called Avengers versus X-Men. God, I want that to happen. And it looks like it might happen with Deadpool and Wolverine. When they show up at his door, he says,
Pegging isn't new for me, friendo.
This is a callback to the first movie when Wade and Vanessa celebrated International Women's Day by letting him peg her.
What's pegging?
We are not going to show it, so just use your imagination. Then we see Wade arrested just like Loki was in the first episode of Loki. And now this looks like, I said before, punishment for his time travel shenanigans, because he didn't just go back and, like, save Vanessa's life and save people's lives. He also, like, completely changed timelines. He went back and killed a version of himself from X-Men Origins Wolverine. And also found a universe where Ryan Reynolds existed and killed him before he could be in the movie Green Lantern. I like this scene though, because he starts to fight them off, but then they just have a door appear behind him and grab him. Now in a way, it's like in Loki season 1, when they put that collar on him and there is nothing that Loki could do to fight the TVA agents. Very similar to that, where basically Wade is being shown that he has no way to possibly fight back against these guys. He's in over his head and he has to do whatever they say. Now I think this wig was a symbol of Wade, like, trying to settle down and have a normal life just with his friends and his wife, trying to start a family. But that wig being trampled by the TVA agent says that he will not be able to settle down, and every time he thinks they're out, they're gonna pull him back in. And the Marvel Studios logo is now Deadpool red. And look at this, Matthew McFadden is playing a TVA agent. Now this guy was brilliant in the show Succession. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you check it out.
Hey, how come Mobius wasn't in this?
Well, Mobius ended the show Loki not really knowing his place in the world. Like, he might be trying to find a new place for himself on the timeline, but also, do we really need to always see the same TVA agents? I mean, the TVA is vast and huge. I'm actually really glad we're seeing a different part of the TVA that's not just what we've seen in the show Loki. Now, the challenge for this movie is going to be, can they explain the TVA quickly for people who didn't actually see the show Loki? I mean, the TVA, like I talked about earlier, is very complicated. And actually, in the hallway right here, we do see that new time stream that I talked about earlier that Loki forged that looks like the World Tree. And look at this, they already have Deadpool's suit in a locker. Now, we tried to decipher what the heck these stickers are. We're trying to make this video super fast. If you have any idea what these stickers are, please let us know down in the comments below, or like add us on our socials. So the agent tells Wade that he is special. Now, I think he's special because he specifically can break the fourth wall. It's one thing that I'm going to be really curious to see is, like, if they tried to contextualize Deadpool breaking the fourth wall, like, in the reality of this world. Like, one thing I've talked about with the show She-Hulk is She-Hulk broke the fourth wall, but it was kind of like her inner monologue until the last episode when her fourth wall breaks literally changed reality around her. In the comic books, Deadpool mostly, like, people think he's insane when he talks to himself, when he's really talking to, like, the person reading the comic book. And in the movie, they don't really acknowledge him talking to the camera. Now, if they're going to say that he is special because he has this ability to, like, break the fourth wall and essentially see through the multiverse, then maybe him being special means he has to go around and recruit other people. So then, we see him getting to finally look at the MCU heroes. We see these first two shots from Age of Ultron, and of course, this shot from Thor gaining lightning powers in Ragnarok. And then, notice this shot of Deadpool in the bottom left. Now, in this shot, he's in a suit. So what I'm wondering is this some kind of Deadpool promo video that we haven't seen yet? I mean, think about it. What better way to show that Deadpool is, like, special and can break the fourth wall than to show him breaking the fourth wall in this video, in like a promo video for Deadpool 3. And in this shot, we see shots from Captain America the Winter Soldier. We see Cap fighting Batroc the Leaper. The middle shot is him landing on the ship. And then this shot, I believe, is him in Civil War in the final confrontation with Tony. My favorite part of this, though, is if you look close, you can see that Wade Wilson is saluting Captain America. Can't wait till he meets Ant-Man.
As far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass.
And then we see this convoy going across the desert. Now I'm not 100% sure if this is the Void at the end of time, but I do think that later in the trailer, we definitely see the Void at the end of time. Like, we're going to talk about some of the Easter eggs, including a Doctor Doom cameo that we spotted a little bit later in the video. And here we see Deadpool sitting inside of the jaws of like a monster, and there's like snakes around. I'm going to throw out a wild theory here and say this could be the Savage Land. So the Savage Land mostly appears in the X-Men comics, so maybe Fox had the rights to make it. The Savage Land is basically a jungle in the middle of South America that still has dinosaurs in it, and like mostly X-Men characters appeared there. If we're going to see Deadpool going around to different parts of the Marvel Universe, or the X-Men Marvel Universe, to gather different people for this team together, then it would make sense if he did stop by the Savage Land to recruit Kazar or Sauron, or any of the characters we normally see down under. Now here, this is great. So this is him in a casino, which I believe is in Madripoor. Now Madripoor is a country from the comics where basically there are no laws and anything goes. We of course saw Madripoor in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's where Zemo did this. And then we see Wolverine from behind wearing a white jacket. This is something Wolverine would do in the comics. He would go down to Madripoor, he'd put on an eye patch and go undercover as a character called Patch. So I think this is Wade, and when he first recruits Wolverine, showing up to find him in Madripoor so he can pull him into whatever kind of team they're putting together.
I am Marvel Jesus.
Now, this is the closest I think they're going to come to acknowledging that Marvel really, really needs this movie. I mean, The Marvels, I thought was a fun movie, but, you know, it bombed at the box office. A lot of their more recent Disney Plus shows haven't been that well accepted. And frankly, there's just a feeling that Marvel's favoring, or Disney is favoring, quantity over quality. So, following the actor and writer strikes of last year, they have canceled almost everything coming out this year. The only movie we're getting is Deadpool, the one that we are all like most hyped for. So when he says, I'm Marvel Jesus, it's because he's the person who can save this universe. And then we see, this is interesting, we see other people suiting Deadpool up, like these are TVA agents who are putting on his uniform for him. The big change here is this logo on his belt that's comic accurate, that is Deadpool's actual logo from the comics. Now, then we get like action flashes like we always see in trailers. We see him fighting, this is like TVA people, but I swear, this looks like the forest in Age of Ultron. So this might be Wade going around recruiting people from different timelines. I'm going to throw out my crazy theory. I know it's probably wrong. I think one person he might be trying to recruit here is Quicksilver, because he died in that movie. So he's basically somebody who the timeline won't miss. Now there's a weird thing here with Quicksilver because he's an Avenger and a mutant, so technically both Marvel and Fox could use him at the same time, which is why we saw him in a movie in 2014 and then in 2015 from two totally different studios. This could make Quicksilver a kind of Nexus being, a character who is like the same in every single universe, or somebody who you will find in every single timeline, which could make him important for this team the TVA is putting together. Now this is awesome. Look, there's a 20th Century Fox sign that's like wrecked behind him. So I definitely think this is the Void, which is where things get sent when they're pruned by the TVA and Loki. But, you know, because it says 20th Century Fox, we could see other people there besides the X-Men. There's, well, two different Fantastic Four movies that Fox made. There's Daredevil, there's Ghost Rider. Basically, anybody who is pruned and isn't part of the MCU could show up in this movie. Okay, and then we see in the Void some weird Mad Max stuff going on. It looks like TVA agents who maybe have been there a long time, perhaps because they have been pruned. Right here, we see a SHIELD helicarrier in the background, and check this out. That's the skeleton of a Chitauri Leviathan right next to it, and very far in the background, we can see remnants of the Golden Gate Bridge, which we saw in the final fight in X-Men 3. Now, we see a lot of fighting around this one compound in the Void. So before the strikes, they had filmed about half of this movie. So I'm betting that everything we see in this trailer was from that half of the movie. While I think they've wrapped filming now, but they're like, during the strikes, they were able to edit everything that they had already shot. So everything we're seeing now is probably filmed there. This is some kind of compound. If I had to guess, like again, I can get wild and say maybe Ravonna Renslayer has tamed Goliath and has her own people there, and the TVA sent Wade to hunt rogue TVA agents. I kind of think that what might have happened is once the Fox X-Men universe was pruned, Vanessa and all of his friends were sent to the Void as well. And so Deadpool and Wolverine, he recruits Wolverine to go to the Void and save their friends. And this scene, wait! That's actually in both Deadpool movies. It's a tactic of his where he'll get behind something, wave a flag, and then use it to like buy time to go fight people. And then we see just a glimpse of my man Wolverine wearing his classic yellow suit from the comics that he also wore in the X-Men animated series. Now, we theorized in a past video that the X-Men that we're gonna see in these movies is actually the same X-Men from that animated series. The reason we think that is because in the Illuminati scene in Multiverse of Madness, Professor Xavier has the yellow chair from the comics and also from the animated series. He's wearing the same tie. And of course, Beast is wearing a lab coat like he wore all the way through that X-Men animated series. Wolverine wearing this yellow suit kind of implies the same thing. Or he could just be wearing his classic suit. Now, it does mean though, it makes you wonder, the Wolverine that we saw in Logan, right? Was that a variant of Wolverine or was that this Wolverine in the future?
These timelines are so confusing.
Now notice though, when Wade is on the ground, look here on the left, what do we see? A copy of Secret Wars. And this comic book cover is actually what I've been waiting to tell you guys about this trailer. So this is Secret Wars issue 5, and who's on the cover of Secret Wars issue 5? Doctor Doom. So this is the first canon appearance of Doctor Doom in the MCU. Now this is huge because there have been rumors that Jonathan Majors was going to be replaced with a different villain. That Secret Wars would feature not King the Conqueror, but instead Doctor Doom, who is the main villain of this particular Secret Wars arc. The same comic book series that wiped out the Marvel universe as we know it in the comics and created a whole new world called Battle World, which again, we're going to see this in the movies. All these different variants from all these different franchises, all the Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Ben Affleck, Daredevil, they're all going to pop up in this movie Secret Wars, I hope. And all these different variants are going to fight each other, and at the end, it's going to be relaunched in a new universe where basically the X-Men have always been alongside the Avengers. Well guys, I am so excited about this. We're going to make other videos about this trailer. I'm so pumped for everything Marvel's doing this year. Let us know if you have any questions about the trailer down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.